The distress signal pierced through subspace like a scream in the void. Ambassador Kelrix of the Peaceful Confederation trembled as he replayed the message for the 5th time. His translucent wings flickered with distress colors, deep purple edged with crimson. Colony Station Verdant 7 under siege. Hostile species breached outer hull. Requesting immediate military assistance. We have children here, please, anyone. The message dissolved into static, then silence. Kelrix's mandibles clicked nervously as he addressed the emergency council. Representatives from 14 species filled the holographic chamber, each one wearing the same expression of helpless dread. The Zephons, the Quilarians, the methane breathers of Sector 9. All advanced civilizations, all utterly unprepared for war. The raiders are Kreshka, Kelrix announced, his voice barely above a whisper. They've already decimated 3 stations in the Outer Rim. A collective shudder passed through the council. The Kreshka were nightmare incarnate. Chitinous predators who bred faster than they could be contained, who knew only hunger and conquest. They didn't negotiate. They consumed. Verdant 7 has maybe 40 hours, continued a Quilarian representative, her feathers drooping. Our defense fleet is 6 days away, and even then, she didn't need to finish. Everyone knew their forces were designed for peacekeeping, not combat. Their weapons were made to stun, not kill. Their ships prioritized diplomacy over firepower. There is one option, Kelrix said slowly, pulling up a file that made several representatives recoil. The humans have offered assistance. The chamber erupted in chittering, whistling, and various forms of alien protest. The Deathworlders? Someone gasped. You can't be serious. Humanity had joined the Confederation only 3 cycles ago, and their reputation preceded them like a shockwave. They came from Earth, a planet so hostile that merely describing its conditions made seasoned xenobiologists question their sanity. Crushing gravity, wildly fluctuating temperatures, an atmosphere so corrosive with oxygen that it literally rusted metal, predators at every turn, and somehow, impossibly, humans had not only survived but thrived, becoming the apex of their world's food chain. They're volunteers, Kelrix insisted. A rapid response team. They can be there in 36 hours, but they're violent, protested a methane breather. I've seen their entertainment. They simulate warfare for fun. Verdant 7 has 200 civilians, Kelrix said quietly. 63 are children. The chamber fell silent. 20 minutes later, the authorization came through. Captain Sarah Chen reviewed the mission brief as the human ship Indomitable tore through subspace at velocities that would have liquefied most Confederation species. Around her, the 12-person response team checked their equipment with practiced efficiency. Contact in 20 minutes, reported Lieutenant Marcus Webb, securing his helmet. Station's life support is failing. Kreshka have breached the residential sectors. Sarah nodded, her jaw set. She'd read about the Kreshka. They reminded her of Earth soldier ants, mindless, relentless, driven purely by instinct. But ants could be dealt with. Humans had been dealing with nature's killing machines for millions of years. Rules of engagement? Asked Corporal Yuki Tanaka, sliding a fresh magazine into her rifle. Protect the civilians. Neutralize all hostiles, Sarah replied. The Confederation species are sheltered in the central hub. We extract them first, then we clean house. The ship lurched as it dropped from subspace. Through the viewport, Verdant 7 hung against the stars like a wounded animal. Sections of the station were dark. Others vented atmosphere in crystalline jets. Hundreds of Kreshka clung to the hull like an infestation. Christ, someone muttered. Lock and load, Sarah ordered. The boarding was textbook perfect. The human team breached through an emergency airlock, moving through the station's corridors in tactical formation. The Kreshka's chittering filled the air, a sound designed to trigger primal fear in prey species. But humans weren't prey. The first wave of Kreshka rounded the corner at full charge, their razor mandibles clacking, their segmented bodies rippling with muscle evolved under high-gravity conditions. They were impressive predators by any standard. They met something more impressive. The humans' weapons barked, not stunning energy bolts but actual projectile weapons. Humans had looked at energy-based weapons and said, that's nice, but what if we just throw metal really, really fast? The results were devastating. Kreshka crumpled, their exoskeletons no match for kinetic force delivered at supersonic speeds. Marcus tossed something small and cylindrical. Frag out! The explosion in the confined space would have killed most Confederation species instantly. The humans barely flinched, their armor absorbing the shockwave as chitin fragments peppered the walls. Jesus, there's hundreds of them, Yuki breathed. Then we've got our work cut out for us, Sarah replied, advancing. Medical team with me. Combat squad, secure the path. What followed was something the galaxy had never witnessed. Humans fighting not for territory or resources, but for strangers they'd never met. Deathworlders who had spent millennia learning to kill, now using those skills to protect. The Confederation civilians huddled in the central hub, watched in awe and terror as the human team carved through the Kreshka swarm. These creatures who casually endured forces that would crush them, who breathed poison, who came from a world of endless death. They fought with a ferocity matched only by their precision. But more than that, they fought with purpose. When young Kelrick's son, a child no more than 3 cycles old, became separated from the group, it was Corporal Tanaka who sprinted back through live fire to retrieve him. She took 3 hits to her armor, fracturing 2 ribs, but she didn't drop the child. She carried him to safety, whispering soft reassurances in a language he couldn't understand but somehow knew meant, "You're safe now." When the station's life support failed completely, the humans shared their oxygen supplies even though it meant breathing dangerously thin air themselves. When Ambassador Kelrix asked Captain Chen why risk everything for aliens they barely knew, she looked at him with those frighteningly forward-facing predator eyes and said something he would never forget. Because you asked for help, and humans help. 31 hours after the distress signal, Verdant 7 was secure, every civilian evacuated, every Kreshka neutralized. The human team had suffered injuries, 2 serious but 0 fatalities. As the Indomitable prepared to depart, Ambassador Kelrix transmitted a message that would ripple across the Confederation. We called them Deathworlders. We feared their violence, their capacity for destruction. But we learned something today. Yes, humans come from a world of death. Yes, they are warriors without equal. But more than that, they are protectors. They are heroes, and we are honored to call them allies. In the cargo bay, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile as she tended to Marcus's wounds. Think they'll stop being scared of us? He asked. Probably not, she replied. But maybe they'll understand that the things that made us survivors, those same things make us defenders. Outside the viewport, the stars wheeled past, a galaxy a little safer, protected by those who knew death intimately enough to hold it at bay. The Deathworlders of Earth had answered the call, and they would answer it again.